always try and cut it off after they do the cardboard rock stars.
Yeah.
I don't know where a good place is to cut that off, but that's what I try and do. All right, here, let's get to a better screen. There we go. Welcome in, everybody. Thanks for joining us. We have some good topics today. We've got some plays today. We might have a little controversy today. I might get skewed here in the comments, which is great. Add a little bit of fun. We do have something new. This is more for the people on Instagram. If you can see up in the top corner of the screen there, above my picture, there is a QR code. I've had a lot of people asking, how do I get to the YouTube channel to watch it on YouTube? That is a QR code. If you scan that QR code, it will take you directly to the YouTube page. So you can watch this video and many, many more. So that's something new this week. I wanted to share that with everybody. Welcome in, Mark. Mark's over on Instagram asking. He had a bunch of people asking me this morning questions on Instagram. So some of the stuff will get covered on today's show. Some of it will. I've just responded back to you and answered your questions in Instagram Messenger. So what is new with you, Mark? I just talked about Mark. What is new with you, Bo?
Oh, not much. I finished shooting high school football. I had my last game last Friday night. I'm already kind of having withdrawals because I was enjoying it so much. I'm supposed to start basketball in January. Other than that, I've been just trying to buy some cards. I've sold a bunch. My first magazine batch worked out fairly well. I only got 4 9.8s, which is kind of what people want out of the 23. But I've sold almost all the non 9.8s and made profit on everything, except I got one 9.0 on the Travis Hunter Fishing Sports Illustrated issue, and I'm having a hard time moving that one. You know, I put it up for $30, and that would be a break even. But we'll just see if somebody wants that someday. And then him getting hurt doesn't help. But I got a 9.8 on Cooper Flagg's first Sports Illustrated cover. And then I got a 9.8 on Paul Skeen's Girlfriend Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue. That's up on eBay right now for $250. And then I got 2 Caitlin Clark 9.8s. And I think I'm just going to wait until a couple weeks before WNBA season starts. I feel like it'd be better to try to sell that in the spring than now.
What's up, Joel? What's up, Terry? Terry says you're a little bit old for high school football.
I'm a photographer. I'll share some photos. I'll share some photos with you. It's been fun, although it had gotten the rain on last Friday. But I've been for the state newspaper, the Arkansas Democrat Gazette, every Saturday. What's great is they give me the game of the week every week. So it's like the biggest game of the week. They send me to it. It's been kind of, and I hadn't done it in like 20 years. So it's real fun. And awesome. I've been getting some good stuff. I'll share some photos next time if you want to see a couple.
Yeah, we need to know when your photos end up on the trading cards so we can collect those.
Yeah, I used to work for
Topps. Maybe give them out to our viewers as gifts for chiming in.
Yeah.
All right. So I too, if you remember a while back, I said I was going to send in one magazine just because I always say you can't talk intelligently about something if you haven't tried it, right? So I sent in a Michael Jordan PSA cover because I thought Michael Jordan sells well. I didn't pay to have it pressed or anything. It was still in the wrapper from PSA when I sent it in. They didn't like that. They wanted me to have it packaged better. They didn't like the fact that I didn't open it out of the plastic. So they sent me a little message about that. So apparently, I don't know if you do that or not, but they don't like them in the plastic.
I just sent them 5 gold Slam magazines that
in the plastic.
I left them in the packaging the way they sent them.
Well, it's interesting to see if you get the same little nasty gram that I did. Anyways, Mine got a 9.0. I sold it. I listed it. I sold it. I made, are you ready for this? Huge profits when everything got all said and done, grading fees, the whole entire 9 yards. I made $4.72.
Wow.
Profit.
That's epic.
Epic, yes. So magazines I'll do that seemed like a lot of effort for not a lot of money. So I do applaud you for doing that. Different strokes for different folks. I'm going to stick to cards, something that I'm a little better at than that. I hear people talking about 15 and 20% return on investments, and that makes my skin crawl because that's not worth my time. If I had to do this at a 20% return on investment, I would stop doing it. If I can't at least 50% return on investment, it's not worth my time and effort. I get paid too much to do what I do for a living to screw around with sports cards for pennies on the dollar kind of thing. So that's the play. When I give plays out, my plays are not intended for you guys to get a 15 or a 20% return on investment. That makes me want to throw up. So I kind of let in at the top of the show that we might have some controversy here today, and our little thumbnail, if anybody saw it, was Shill bidding for the win. So Shill bidding seems to be the latest and greatest. Here, Terry's. I don't know if Terry's picking on you or if he's encouraging you, but I want to talk a little bit today about Terry's asking what grading service we sent him in for the magazines. I'm assuming I did mine to PSA.
I did also.
Although
I hear people
would mention you're thinking about switching to CGC because they bring more.
I've heard that a lot of people say CGC sales on anything with books is done better than PSA. So I might switch back. I definitely, with comic books, you don't want to mess with anything but CGC. But with magazines, it's kind of new. So I thought PSA would be number one, being the sports, if you're doing sports stuff, but we really don't know yet.
Yeah. So Shill bidding seems to be the hot topic. We're kind of late to the party because we do a bi-weekly show. It was just after our show 2 weeks ago that the Shill bidding hit the fan. Dr. Beckett, Ryan, Jeff Wilson, everybody's talking about it, right? Now Probstein and his snipe website that crashed, and the alleged hasn't been proved yet, alleged Shill bidding, which I think everybody knows, has their opinion as to whether it's true or false. But the Shill bidding seems to just be out of control. Everybody's talking about Shill bidding, right? They're talking about how disgusted they are by it, how awful it is. They can't believe anybody would do that. So here comes the controversy. Get off your soapbox, people. I don't have a problem with it. I am not necessarily promoting it. I'm not saying go do it, but I certainly understand where they're coming from, and I understood why they do it. The difference. So here, Bo and I were talking about this off camera beforehand. So Bo had a card that he wanted to list, and he was afraid it would sell for not a lot of money. So he listed the card.
It's the Sports Illustrated Cooper Flag first.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't a card. It's a magazine. So he listed the magazine as a auction, but he started the bid at $199. Okay. Essentially that's a reserve, right? Because if nobody bids on it, it doesn't cost him anything to sell it. And he still owns it for $199. Market may be less than that, but you'll never know because it started at $199. If nobody bids, it ends up at that. There is no difference to me than if Bo started that at $1 and Bo said, "Hey, Chad, can you bid $199 on this magazine for me? I don't want it to go for less than that. That is shill bidding. That's what they've been talking about. Beckett called it defensive shill bidding, I think. Offensive, defensive. Shill bidding is shill bidding, right? Let's just get that out there. But essentially, if somebody, so if that magazine, somebody wants to pay $210 for it, Bo starts it out at $199 and it ends up selling for $210. Or if Bo starts it out at $1 and I shill bid it for $199 and the same guy buys it for $210, I don't see the difference in that. Essentially, it's a reserve. The difference is one is transparent and one is under the table, which is where it feels dirty and yucky and it seems off color, and how dare somebody do it. Where I'm against shill bidding and where I think that it is a criminal offense is if I have 10 fill in the blank, whatever cards they are, Michael Jordan rookie cards, and none of them have sold in a while, and the last sale was $200,000. So I say to Bo, hey, you know what? I'll split the profits with you. I've got 10 of these. I'm going to list the first one at an auction. Let's bid this thing up and let it sell for $300,000 to set the new comps. And then we're going to put the other 9, we'll roll them out a few at a time, and we'll do buy it nows at $285, $280. Somebody will snap bid it because they can't believe they're getting it for $20,000 less than current comps. That is to me, that's criminal. That is an offense. Terry's asking, why not just leave a reserve? You're absolutely right, Terry. Why not just set a reserve? That's what I do. If I've got something big at an auction house, I set a reserve, okay? Because I'm not a shill bidder and I'm not promoting shill bidding. What I'm saying is I don't have a problem with it when it's done in a way that they're essentially setting a reserve on their card. It would be nice to know that the shill was a reserve, right? It would be nice to know, but it's irrelevant. If I'm willing to pay $210 for that magazine, whether it's shilled up to $200 or there's a reserve set at $200, it ain't selling for less than $200 either way. So I don't have a problem with it. Again, where I have the problem is if Bo had the only 10 of those in existence and they were all 9s, and Bo said, hey, Chad, let's sell one bid one up to $500 and then we'll sell the other ones off and I'll split the profits with you. That's where it becomes wrong. So that's my hot take on shill bidding. You can crucify me in the comments if you want. I just don't have a problem with it. So Mark is over on Instagram and he says, PSA Vault allows everyone to shill their own stuff easy since it's not their own eBay account. I'm not sure a lot of people do this as a buyer. I have my profit number in mind and it's my own fault for bidding higher. Yeah. So that's just it. You know, when I first started selling cards and there were people, consignment houses were few and far between. The very first thing that I learned from a guy that kind of was showing me a little bit of the ropes in the card business was he told me, he said, hey, if you've got cards that you're going to auction, if you're going to buy them, do a buy it now, use your own account. If you're going to auction your cards, send them to consigners because then you can bid on your own card and make sure it brings at least what you want. So that's 20 some years. That's longer than that. That's in the early 80s that I was taught this. The guy had his own card shop here. So that, I mean, guys, this has been happening for 30 some years. Shill bidding is not something that's brand new. It's a concept that was developed years ago. It's just now getting brought into the public. And that's why now it's yucky and dirty laundry and all that kind of stuff. I promote, if you're going to do it right. Do it like Bo did, put a higher starting price, put a reserve price on it. The reason why, and to Terry's question, the reason why not just set a reserve is because people will
avoid the reserve.
They'll avoid bidding on the card because it says reserve not met yet, and everybody wants to get a deal. So if I'm bidding $52 to get Bo's card, his magazine started, and I bid $52 and it says reserve not met, it's almost depressing. It's like, oh man, I guess I ain't going to get it for that. And you almost want to retract your bid because it's like, well, if I ain't going to get it for 52, what's the point of bidding? So that's why people do it with no reserve it gets more people hyped up and interested in thinking that they're going to get the card, which is where it's wrong to do it. That's the hype that it builds and creates. That's where people get upset because they're thinking, well, I actually had a chance and I had no chance. So talking about the shill bidding to start the show, I don't know if you've watched the live numbers, Bo. We started out pretty hot and we're losing viewers left and right. That's okay though. We'll get into the plays. We'll pick people up as we go. We get a lot more viewers that watch this after than watch it during the live stream anyways. But I think the plays are why people come and watch us. They don't care to listen to two old guys and their opinions. It was fun having Eric on here a couple weeks ago, getting a new fresh face. I think I've had a lot of comments. I don't know if you got any, Bo, but I had a lot of comments of people stating that they really enjoyed Eric and his take on things.
I bought almost every baseball guy he recommended. Almost.
Yeah. So his baseball list was similar to mine. There are, a fair amount of crossovers that he didn't have, I didn't have, and he didn't have. But yeah, Eric's a very knowledgeable guy. He casts a very wide net like I do. It's not a very focused, looking for one specific person. So it's fun to have somebody new, and a lot of people asked if we could have him back. So I think we'll probably try and have Eric maybe once a month come on the show, maybe at least every other month, maybe, since we only do 2 shows a month, maybe, I don't know, every third show or something like that.
Okay. Have you bought any of that guy that plays for the Mets? I always forget his name that he recommended. The slugger from the Mets.
Ricino?
No.
He doesn't play. Yeah, I was going to say he doesn't play for the Mets.
I'll look it up. Well,
I've got. I mean, there's a few Mets on my list. Mark said, now that they're all gone, give us the gold tier plays. Laugh out loud. So, yeah. So we're gonna get into some plays. Is there anything that you wanted to cover before we get into some plays and start talking some baseball cards?
Okay, that was Carson Benj is the guy I was thinking of. I've been trying to buy
Benj.
Yeah, I've been trying to buy him, and I see that the sales, on his refractor, that they're selling for about $200.
Yeah.
Everybody and their dog is listing it for $300, $350. And on the best offers, I've been offering them $210 or $220, and they just keep rejecting me. So I'm kind of feel like I missed the boat on Carson Benj, or I just got to look out and find an auction, but then, I'm going through the centering tool and making sure that it looks like it's got a shot at Jimin, are the only ones I'm trying to buy. But and I've done fairly well on everybody but him, and I think it's that New York Mets, that those big markets bring more interest and more money into the equation.
Yeah. So when we get into my plays, you're going to see a lot of my plays. I don't go after. I don't like spending the $200, $300, $400 on too many players like that. I'd rather buy, $30 to $70 Bowman guys that it's a whole lot easier for a $70 card to go to $150 and double my profit than it is for a $200 to go to $400. Mm-hmm. So Benj is a player that I had on my list as somebody that I watched. However, I have not bought any of his cards. I do not own any of his cards. I had 3 of them that I sold back in August that were by grade. They came back from PSA. I got 2 10s and a 9. I sold them, doubled my money on them back in August. I didn't hold them. I looked to buy back in, and he's too expensive for me right now for the type of player that he is. He's a good player, but I'm just not.
I think most
Like
of
you,
your
I'm
guys,
not finding the deals on him, and
right?
that's one of the things that I've had a lot of people messaging me on. Hey, Crack, when is the dip coming? There's no dip this year. There's no dip this year. And what I've been telling everybody is that happens every once in a while. Every now and then, over the course of the last 20 years, you have a season where there is little to no dip in fall for baseball.
Mm-hmm.
And there are so many good prospects this year that are expected to make the big leagues next year, either out of spring training or early in the year, that I think with the expansion of the hobby, I think this is one of those just weird years where they didn't really dip, but they leveled. They stopped going up. And if you're going to buy into some of these guys, these top guys, like like a Kevin McGonigal, like a Connor Griffin, like a Colt Emerson, you're gonna have to pay the freight and hope that they have a good spring training, because a little bit of hype with any one of those guys and their cards are going to explode regardless of where they're at now. Any one of them could double easily in a week's time. Connor Griffin, for example, right now his base auto is about $350 for a base. That card, if you get that base card and he starts out his first spring training game 2 for 3 with a home run, a double, and 5 RBIs, and then he follows it up with a 3 for 4 performance, that $350 card is going to become $700 in 48 hours.
It'll be like that guy that, I forget his name off the top of my head. I should know it. The guy that played for the Rangers that got drafted he got called up during spring training, and I bought 2 of them and
Langford.
Yeah. Made big money off of his autos before the season started, just because he was official before the season started.
Right. So my play for most of these baseball players is to not wait for the call up. My play is to buy them now, get them sent in to PSA before Christmas, and hope that they're back by the end of March, first week of April. The submission that I did last week got checked in at PSA already, and when it arrived and it got checked in, it says estimated return April 2nd. That was last week's. So this week's and next week's is probably going to be even later. So if last week's PSA order says April 2nd and I wait 2 more weeks, it could be middle of April as the projected return date. Now I'm hoping that PSA ends up like most of their things I have yet to have PSA have a projected date for a return date, and I don't get the cards back a month before that projected date. I don't know if anybody else has experienced where they actually go to the projected date. I have not. I haven't had that since pre-COVID. If they have a projected date, I'm getting it back a month or 2 in advance. So I'm going to presume that these that we're sending out this week, next week, and the week after, I'm going to presume that I'm still going to have a shot at getting them back in late March, early April, which is going to be the perfect time to sell off these baseball prospects.
I'm still getting my orders back from GameStop in 6 to 8 weeks. I'm expecting another one in a week. They've been lightning fast at the one down the road from me that I used to not like, but now they send every Monday. They send it, and the bad thing is I heard all the GameStop orders. I don't want to offend anybody, but I heard all the GameStop orders go to New Jersey. And I've always had worse luck on grades from the New Jersey than the California ones. I remember one time I sent in my PSA order and I put, please don't send this to New Jersey. California knows how to party. And I got great grades. They must have thought that was hilarious, but and it came back from California. But so I'm like, just don't Jersey up my grades. But so I don't know if that's true or not, but I heard that all the GameStop stuff goes to New Jersey.
Welcome in, Logan. Welcome in, Eric. Eric's joined us on Instagram.
Nice.
So yeah, as far as that, I'm still planning on doing. I'm done buying baseball raw to grade the week before Christmas. I'm done. I transition from Christmas to middle of January, I only buy already graded baseball that I think will spike. Mm-hmm. But I still think you've got a 2-week window here where you can go out and buy raw to grade baseball plays and still have them back in time to make the money for spring training. That's still my belief. However, Eric kind of in the Discord, I think it was Eric, somebody had kind of burst my bubble stating that they sent in doing the trick with the higher rated service level, and they checked that in and then they left the other one sit. And that didn't get going like the other one. So maybe PSA got smart. Maybe we shouldn't have been sharing those tips. I'm not sure. So if that's the case, that's going to be a real bummer because that's been working out. I've been getting my cards back about the same time that people have been doing grade GameStop. It's been about 8 to 10 weeks for all of my bulk orders. So if that slows down to 12 to 14 to 16 to 20 weeks, that's going to suck. And I'll have to find a new tip that I can give everybody. But right now, it appears as though the days of sending in the higher tier level, that may not work anymore. So we'll find out when today's order that got shipped out, when that gets checked in, we'll see what they say. Mark just asked, are you still sending in bulk? I'm planning on value to ensure baseball gets back. Yeah, Mark, I'm still doing bulk. There are some cards that I will send at the higher level to make assure that they're back. There's a few of them, and I'll let you know which ones they are that I really feel like I need to make sure that they're back by end of February, because I think that those players could spike sooner. So yeah, there are a few of them, but for the most part, I'm still doing bulk because I'm confident I'm still going to get my bulk orders back by mid to late March, which is plenty of time. So, all right, without further ado, let's stop yapping and give these viewers what they want. Let's start giving some plays out here. So the first play up that we have, we're going to go a little bit old school here. And we're going to talk about Bobby Witt Jr. Now, most cards, we were just talking about how the market hasn't really dipped, but take a look at the Bobby Witt card. Now, from a year ago, Bobby Witt, and now this is an expensive card, right? The most recent sale, $670. The 1-year average, $785. All right, Logan, we'll catch you later. Thanks, man. 26 sales in the last year. But look at this. It's down 22% from a year ago. And he had a solid year this last year. But with these spikes that you see throughout the course of the year, 900, 831, 838, 860, beginning of spring training last year, $1,000. That's just for raw. Like if you could buy this card in the mid 600s and you didn't want to grade it, I think you could make $100+ just hanging on to this thing ungraded and sell this card in spring. Ungraded. But if you want to grade it, a PSA 9 is $775. And then a PSA 10 is $1,600. The upside, and the card has a 51% gem rate. And there are 336 PSA 10s, but 34 of those were in the last year. So the card, they're still giving out 3 or 4 PSA 10s per month on this card. So this card is something that if you wanted to go try and take your $600, $700 and turn it into $1,600, this is a card that you could potentially still do that. But you don't have to get this card graded, which is why I put it on there. If you can buy this card in the mid 600s and it looks good, you're going to make $100 or more just hanging on to it and flipping it late February, early March. So what do you think of Bobby Witt?
I like him. I almost bought a Bowman First auto of his last summer at my local card show. Somebody had one, and the price was a little high, but I kind of wish I would have just went ahead and did it.
I just realized I had us in the dual screen. How did that show up okay on the screen?
Yeah,
I showed Bobby Witt.
It looked good.
Okay. All right, let's share the next one. Next card up is AJ Ewing. AJ Ewing is a very inexpensive auto. At the end of the year, he got a lot of buzz. Aram really likes him at justbaseball.com. He's got tremendous wheels. He doesn't have a lot of power, but he's going to steal a lot of bases. He's a contact hitter. Really shot up through the ranks here this past year. And these are the types of plays and players that I like. You can go out and buy his base 2023 Bowman Draft first auto for $40. Most recently was $40. That sale was December 1st. In the last 30 days, the card has sold 15 times. So about every other day, one of these is selling in auction or on Buy It Now. The 30-day average is $32. So this $40 sale is actually one of the higher sales of the 15 sales in the last 30 days. Matter of fact, it is looking at the chart, it's the second highest sale. The one before it was the highest sale at $45, but it's come down a little bit. If you can buy this card in that $35 to $45 range, I think this makes a great play. The PSA 9 only sells for $50. So know if you get a 9, you're going to take a little bit of a loss. But the card has a 54% gem rate, and it sells for $150 in a PSA 10. And that's currently. Okay, the most recent PSA 10 was November 13th. I anticipate that to jump maybe $200 plus come February, March. So the nice thing about all of these numbers that you're going to hear me talk about, these are current prices. I anticipate all of these prices to go up come late February, March, and early April. AJ Ewing, I don't think has a shot of making the big leagues in 2026. He's probably a 2027 guy, but if he shoots up as much as he did last year, who knows? The sky's the limit. Maybe the guy could sneak in there, but I like these $40 to $45 entry points when you have a chance at tripling your money on a PSA 10 with a 54% gem rate. I don't remember if Ewing was one that Eric talked about or not.
He was on his list.
Okay. Next up, we're going to talk about Jose De Paula. in the Dodgers organization, again, this player I really, really like. I've had success. I've already got 2 of these back in PSA 10s. I'm 2 for 2 on this play. I also have a refractor that I'm waiting to get back. But this here is his base Chrome First Auto, $75, most recent sale, November 30th. 30-day average, $95. So as you can see, it's come down a little bit. So you asked where the dip is. I'm trying to show you a few guys that have a little bit of a dip. Bobby Witt was down. Jose De Paula is down. 7 sales in the last 30 days. So it's a card that about one every 3 or 4 days. But they are out there. They are available. And like I said, both of mine, I'm 2 for 2 on eBay purchases. Both of them came back 10s. PSA 9, $95. So again, you might be out a couple of bucks on a PSA 9. PSA 10, $275. So you, again, a 3 to 4x of your investment, and again, a 46% gem rate. And because he's in the Dodger organization, you get that extra hype added in it from a big market team. He is going to really, really sell well.
I have a snipe programmed in for his refractor auto in a couple nights. Hopefully none of you beat me, but we'll see.
So I don't think De Paula was a guy that Eric talked about either.
No.
But he's somebody I really like. All right, next guy that I'm going to talk about, Zaire Hope. We're getting in after Hope. This is the last one of the prospects I'm going to talk about that are most likely 2027 guys. DePaula is also probably a 2027 guy, but that doesn't mean that they can't have good spring trainings and that you can capitalize. If you get the 10, it doesn't matter what time of year. If they get called up, you're making 2, 3, 4x your money. Zaire Hope is another guy I really like. I like his hit tool. A lot of things to like about him. He's in 2025 Bowman, so I feel that now is a pretty good time. As you can see, I went out a full year. You can see that his cards came out in May. That's when 2025 Bowman came out, and they were crazy ridiculous. He's one of the players that you want to go hit in the 2025 Bowman. But when you look at the last 30 days, you can see that he's down 2%, a little bit of a dip. But it's a $45 card again. When you can buy in at $45, 25 sales in the last 30 days, so almost one a day. The 30-day average is $43, so it's pretty spot on with that $45 for the most recent sale. PSA 9 is only $50. So again, you're going to be out your grading fees if you get a PSA 9. But in a PSA 10, again, it's $150. So you're talking tripling your money on a PSA 10. And you're talking about so far very limited results so far because it's a newer card. But you're talking about a 56% gem rate for Zaire Hope as well. So when you can have a 50% gem rate for a card that you can enter in the $45 range, I would recommend buying 2 or 3 if you can find them and let the law of averages take over. And you should be very profitable with his cards. And I think Zaire Hope is also another guy that Eric did not have on his list. The next one up. That's why I said there's some crossover, some not. I loved Eric's list. So go back and listen to Eric's takes from a few weeks ago. You're going to hear a few names coming up that Eric and I both have on our list. But this next one is a very popular name. Many of you don't need me to tell you to go out and buy this guy because he is a top 10 prospect. That's Max Clark. From Max Clark on, every prospect that I'm going to talk to you about for the rest of my plays today are all players that I anticipate will be playing on the big league roster in 2026. So you have less than a year for the call-up date for all of the rest of these players. Some of them may break camp in spring training. Others will most likely get called up throughout the course of the year. But Max Clark is another one where you're trying to buy a dip. He's down 30% from a year ago. 2023 Bowman draft. I love the 23 Bowman draft. That's one of the best products out there because there's so many hits that you could take. But he's down 30% from a year ago. However, he's flat in the last 30 days. There have only been 2 sales of his base Chrome First Auto in the last 30 days. So this is a card, because it's a 2-year-old card, you're going to have to work. You may have to search eBay. You might want to search Facebook groups. You might want to look at your local card shows. They're out there, but this one you're going to have to do a little bit of legwork on. It's not as easy of a card to find, but I like this play a lot. Current price is $175 for raw, $192 for PSA 9. So again, going to be out a couple of bucks if you get that 9. But a PSA 10 is $475. So a nice 2.5 to 3 times flip. And I think that $475 could easily be $600 or $700 if he has a good spring training. 50% gem rate again. So when you're talking a 50% gem rate and an opportunity to 2 to 3 times your profit on a PSA 10 with very low risk of the PSA 9 only going to cost you a few bucks. If you do get a 9, it's a play worth making. So Mark is asking a question. You mentioned when you stop buying raw, when do you start? I started in October and I'm flipping back out of the ones ungradable for profit or break even. Yes, Mark. So I typically start buying raw in September for some players, October, November for others, and I buy raw all the way up through mid-December, typically up until the week before Christmas. I've had to adjust my buying a little bit because with it now taking 3 to 4 months to get back from PSA, you have to keep the selling marker in mind that spring training is when I want to unload these. So that means I have to get them in to PSA by mid-December. A year ago, when PSA was moving fast, I bought raw cards all the way up until the first week of February, got them back and still flipped them in the end of March. When you had 6-week turnaround times, it makes flipping a whole lot easier. You have to be a little bit more calculated and a little bit more deliberate when you're talking about for 3 to 4 month turnaround times. So it still can be done. It just, you have to think out a little bit further ahead, which is why I said starting Christmas time, I'm going to switch over to only buying graded cards. All right, this next one, Ryan Clifford. I bought into him last year, made very, very good money on him in spring training last year. I did 2 buys, raw and grade, during the season and flipped them in July and August. Did very well. He's one of the players that I've profited most on in the last year. And his stuff is getting cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. So a year ago, I was buying into his stuff. As you can see here, a year ago, his cards were all in that $20 range, $25 range. So now they're at 42. So they've doubled from a year ago. But it's still only a $42 auto, which is cheap. Here's the problem. People are starting to know about him. And because, again, he's from the 2023 Bowman product, he's a couple years old. There are no sales in the last 30 days. There's only 1 sale in 60 days. 4 sales in 90 days. So he's getting harder and harder to find. I did just snag a refractor of his last week on auction. So they are out there. You just have to watch for it. But $42 on October 28th, that was the most recent sale on eBay. The average from 90 days is $52, so $40 to $50 range. And he's a player. And this is for his refractor to $4.99. This is not a base card. His base cards are still in that $20 to $25 range. If you want to go base, which parallel you pick doesn't matter. But he's a player that I expect will get called up in 2026. He will most likely make a big league roster, maybe out of spring training. If not, I would anticipate by the 4th of July he'll be up. He's too good of a bat to leave in the minors. So I'm going to tell you the plays here, and then I'm going to tell you what I did, all right? I told you I just bought one, but it's not what you think. So, all right, PSA 9, $70. So buy for 42, sell for 70. You're going to break even if you buy and do the raw to grade and you get a PSA 9, you're breaking even. The PSA 10, most recent sale recorded, is $87 on a PSA 10. So why would I tell you to buy a card for $40 raw and get it graded and sell it when the PSA 10s are only selling for $87? All right, I'm not. Here's the deal. I wanted to show you all the numbers. The card I mentioned I just bought, I got it off a Facebook group. I bought a PSA 10 and I got it for $80. A refractor to $4.99. Now, to give you a better generalization of what this is, I sold his refractor PSA 10 back in July of this last year. I got $150 for it. I anticipate that's where this card is going to be again. So don't waste your money buying this card raw and grading it. Clifford is cheap enough right now. Buy the already graded PSA 10s and profit that way. This is a card, just take the risk right out. It's so cheap at 80 or $90. Just go get the PSA 10 refractor. Just, that's so cheap for a prospect of his caliber. Under $100 for a refractor first auto. Just go buy it. Buy it in a PSA 10. You'll thank me later. All right. Next up, we're going to talk about, I just bought one of these yesterday. You saw it as my pickup of the day yesterday. I bought a raw to grade, Emmanuel Rodriguez. This guy can flat out mash the baseball. I've been high on him for a couple of years. Injuries have let me down a couple of years in a row. This guy is big league ready every time he's about ready to get called up and an injury strikes. 2 years in a row, he's had injuries. He is a little bit injury plagued, which that can scare people. You want to talk about buying a dip? Look at this. His card's down 43% from a year ago. For a player of his caliber, if he can stay healthy, and it's a big if, he's a little Zion Williamson type-esque. The guy can create all kinds of ESPN headlines with the way he can hit home runs and mash the baseball. There will be a lot of hype if this guy can stay healthy. There's risk because of the injury, but for a refractor auto for $45 for a guy that was once ranked in the top 10 prospects in baseball, I think he's down to, I don't know, he's maybe in the 30s now, maybe even 40s, because he's been falling with his injuries. He missed the second half of the year last year in the minors, but he was having a great year up to that point. So there is risk involved with injury, but this is, of all of the plays we're going to talk about today, this is my favorite play because of the ceiling that this guy has. His cards could explode explode if he stays healthy. So there's risk. I like taking a little bit of risk on a player like this because when he's healthy, he's one of the best players in all the minor leagues. I just really like this play. So when you look at last 30 days, finding his cards because he's 2021, that's the hard part, finding them in raw. 30 days, no sales. 60 days, no sales. 90 days, there have been 3 sales. That's a $48 average for a raw. It's a hard card to find in raw. PSA 9 is $85, so you're actually turning a profit if you can find one in that $45 to $50 range. Get it graded, even if you get a 9, you're turning a small profit. PSA 10 is $154. This is the second card in a row I'm going to recommend if you can go out and buy his refractor auto for $150 already in a PSA 10. Just buy it already at $150. Costs a little bit more. If this guy can stay healthy, I could see this being a $400 or $500 card in 6 to 8 months. If he doesn't stay healthy, I could see this card being a $100 card in 6 to 8 months. So there is a floor there that where you could lose a little bit of money if he has a third injury plagued season in a row. But the sky, the ceiling, the potential of profit on a guy like this, if he stays healthy, is too good for me to pass up. He is my favorite prospect to buy right now because of his ceiling and because of his profit potential when healthy.
So would you hold on to him a little bit longer if you had the PSA 10 instead of selling it before opening day?
No. If he has a good spring training, which he's had a couple of years in a row, and I can double or triple my money. So here's I'll be honest, here's my play with Emmanuel Rodriguez. I am hoping to have 15 to 20 of these in PSA 10 between now and spring training. This isn't a onesie twosie play for me. I'm so hyped on this guy, and I'm adverse to the injury risk because of the reward. My goal is that I will try and sell off enough in spring training. If he has a good spring training, I will sell off enough in spring training to where the profits cover the ones that I have left, and I'll own them for free. And then you can afford to hang on to those until the call up for another spike. So I'm anticipating, depends on how much they spike, but I could end up with 5 to 8 of them that I could own for free based on the profits of the other 10 or 12. It all depends on how high they go and how much they spike. But I can tell you I'm buying more of his card than any other prospect player going into spring training.
Nice.
Risk reward. Where a lot of people are spending $350 on a Connor Griffin base auto, hoping that it gets to $500 and they clear $75 after eBay fees because he's going to be hyped and he's going to be great. For that same amount of money, I can have 10 Emmanuel Rodriguez PSA 10 cards in my hand. There's just some players that you get a gut feeling on. I've been high on this guy. I've made a lot of money on him over the last 2 years because when he's hot and he mashes the baseball. He is a player that I've liked for a while now. He just has to stay healthy. If he doesn't stay healthy, his cards could continue to drop and you could lose money on this play. But the risk reward is there, and I really like this play. I really like Emmanuel Rodriguez. All right. Next up, this guy was super hyped a year ago. Do you remember Travis Bazzana? Yeah. Super hyped. Everybody thought he had a chance of making the big league roster last year, and then he struggled a little bit in the minors. He started to get it figured out the second half of the year. I anticipate that he is going to make the big league club this summer. Don't know if he's going to make it out of spring training. Unless he has a great spring training, I doubt that he will. It'll probably be a midsummer call-up. But when you take a look at a year ago, his refractor first auto, it's down 68%. So you're looking for, again, if you're looking for the dips, there are some dips that are taking place. You just have to look for the players that have the dips. And Travis Bazzana is having a dip from a year ago to now, literally less than half the price. When you look at the 30-day, he's down 26% in 30 days. So he's continuing to slide down. This is when you like to pick up a player when he's sliding down. Don't worry about getting in at the very bottom. If you're the second or third to bottom, that's okay. You want to get it before he starts to rebound back up. $140, 2 sales in the last 30 days, which is surprising being a 2024 Bowman. As much as this guy transacted a year ago, to only have 2 in the last 30 days tells me that his supply is already starting to dry up because everybody is seeing what a value he is at $140. Again, this is the refractor to $499. His base is a lot more readily available. But another guy here that makes a lot of sense. PSA 9's $172, so you're going to break even on a PSA 9. PSA 10, $400. So a nice little double your investment. The issue with the PSA 10, it's only got a 30% gem rate. So you only got a 1 in 3 chance of gemming it, which makes it a little bit more risky. The raw or the base has a higher gem rate. If you don't want to take the risk of the refractor, you could always do the base. But Bazzana's a guy that is free falling right now, and I anticipate that we're near the bottom of his market, and you're going to see that rebound as we go into spring. And you want to buy him soon if you're going to get in on that bandwagon, I think. It's my opinion. All right. Now, this guy is a guy that Eric talked about, Jose Priceno, 2025 product. I went with his chrome or his speckle refractor. It's numbered to $299 instead of his regular refractor numbered to $499. And I did it because of a price point. It's not very often that you can afford to buy somebody's speckle refractor because they're typically uber expensive. For a guy that can hit the home runs and be the ESPN highlight like Jose can, to get a $299 speckle refractor for under $100, I thought it was too good to pass up. So that's why I'm recommending this play. But whether you go with his base, his refractor, go with a different parallel, he's a guy that is going to make, I'm pretty confident he's going to make the big league club in 2026. And he likes to hit the long ball. So I think that it's a guy that you can get in on. The last 30 days, you want, again, the holiday dip, here it is. Last 30 days, he's down 28%. So get in while you can.
I've got one in my mailbox coming in today.
Nice.
Yeah.
PSA 9 on the speckle is $150. So you make a solid $50 profit on a PSA 9. And here's another reason why I picked the speckle. There have been 0 sales ever recorded on the PSA 10. There are 18 PSA 10s in existence. 0 of them have sold. Everybody that has one is hanging on to this guy for spring or when he gets the call up. So if you can be the first one to sell that PSA 10, first one's going to set the market. I don't know what that card sells for, but I'm going to guess it sells for $300+. So that is a play that's why I like the speckle, just because the unknown of no PSA 10 selling yet. It does have a 36% gem rate. The speckle does. The base had a gem rate of almost 50%. If you want a little bit more of a 50% type gem rate, you can go with the base. All right. Let's share another one here. All right. Next up, we're going to be talking about Walker Jenkins. Walker Jenkins is another player that had a lot of hype with Bazana last year. Never made it to the big leagues. A lot of people thought he would last year. He didn't. He should make it to the big leagues this year. If he has a good spring training, his cards could really go because he had so much hype behind him a year ago. He's down 25% from a year ago, and he is actually up 3%, so essentially flat in the last 30 days. 7 sales in the last 30 days. This is the base auto. Last sale was $150. The 30-day average is $140 or $139. When you look at his PSA 9, it's $169. So again, you're out a couple of bucks if it gets a PSA 9. But here's the one that really jumped out at me. The most recent PSA 10 sold for $200 on November 30th. So just a couple of days ago. Here's another case. If you can buy this PSA 10 for $200, skip the raw to grade, just buy it for $200. But here's the caveat. The PSA 10, although it's been coming down, when you look at the average, it's got a $283 average from the last 6 months. So that $200 sale is the lowest sale from the last year. So I don't know if it's going to continue to slide here for the next couple of weeks and you could get one for less than 200, or if you got to pay 215 or 220. But if a raw is going to cost you 150, why would you take the risk of grading it when you can buy an already PSA 10 for 50 or 75 bucks more? Just go ahead and get the 10 and hold on to it. And he is a player you will profit on. You are not going to lose money on a Walker Jenkins PSA 10 card for the auto for $200 range. You're not going to lose money on that play.
I think I sold one of those last March for around $400.
Yep. I anticipate that card going back to around $400 come spring. That's a card that you could literally double your money buying an already graded PSA 10. You're going to have to find an auction, though, because the people that have the buy it now is listed on eBay. Everybody thinks it's still a $400 card, so you're going to have to find the auctions to get that price. All right, next player up, Sebastian Walcott. Very, very high on Sebastian Walcott as well. Here is his refractor auto, numbered to $499. $155 is his most recent sale. But if you look at that sale, it was back on September 21st. Now, Sebastian Walcott doesn't have a first auto. This is his first auto, but it doesn't have the first symbol on the card. If you want a Sebastian Walcott first, that was in 2023 Bowman, and there were no autos. So his first auto came in 2024 Bowman, but it doesn't have the first Signy on it. So that hurts it a little bit. But for Sebastian Walcott collectors, I don't think they'll care. There have been other instances like this in the past, and they still sell very, very well.
I mailed his first to the team. I forget, they're somewhere in Dallas, in the outskirts, suburbs of Dallas, but it said that here's the address. All our players sign autographs, and I mailed him a first. I haven't got it back yet, but
that'd be cool if you get it back.
Yeah.
So the number to $499, there's only 16 of these that have sold in the last year. So this is a harder card to find. You can go with his base, which is an easier card to find. but this has almost a 50% gem rate, which is why I selected it. But the interesting thing here, and the reason why it's getting harder on this, there's only 499 of these made, and 241 of them have already been graded at PSA, so half. So finding this card in a good raw copy could be difficult, but I wanted to let you know that Walcott is a player that's going to make his debut next year, and a player that you want to try and go find. I don't think Eric talked about him either, so that's why I wanted to bring him up. All right, now the next, from here on out, the rest of the players that we're going to be talking about, this isn't rocket science. You don't need Bo or I or Eric or any other person to tell you that these players are plays to be made. These are no-brainers. We're basically talking about the top 5 players in the minor leagues at this point from here on out. So all I'm going to do is give you the numbers, let you make your decision on what you want to do. But these last 5 players we're going to talk about, it's the top 5 in the MLB. JJ Weatherholt, his stuff has really not dipped at all. His dip actually occurred back in August. So if you look at like a 90-day, so you can see his dips here were back in August. He had, a little bit of a dip there beginning of September. He had a big dip in the beginning of September. But now you look in the last 30 days, everybody knows he's going to be a stud, and he's up 16% in the last 30 days. This is his base auto, currently sells for $175, 36 sales in the last 30 days. So there's no shortage of this card. Over one a day, easy card to find, hard card to get a good deal on. PSA 9 last sale was $198. So you're about breaking even, maybe a small loss on a PSA 9. On a PSA 10, it's $425. So you're a nice 2.5 times your profit on that. The gem rate, for whatever reason, the gem rate on this card has always been hard to find. It goes up and it crashes on gemrate.com. I was unable to get the current gem rate on this card, so I apologize. This one here, the last time it was close to 50%, but that was also almost 90 cards ago. So it could have adjusted since then. I don't know. But it's a 40+% gem rate. But I don't have the specific numbers because it was down on gem rate the last 2 days when I've been trying to get this for you guys.
I bought one of those about 2 weeks ago, and it looked great in the picture. I did this, check the centering and all that, and then when I got it out to get it ready to grade, there was a big scratch going all the way down it. And thankfully it said returns accepted on eBay, so I just freaking returned the damn thing. I'm a big Cardinals fan, so I'm trying to get another one, but it's hard to find copies that look like they're good at gem to me, at least the ones that are for sale on eBay right now.
Yeah, there's a lot of them. You just gotta pay the freight to get a decent one, I guess. Next up is Jesus Made, 2025 Bowman. He's a Brewer. He's my Brewer. He's the next Jackson Churio, hopefully. This is the purple refractor number 250. It is down 62%, but that's misleading because it just came out in May. So all of the 2025 products pretty much are falling. They're trying to find where they're going to end up leveling off at. I think he's getting close to where he's going to level off at before spring. This card, most recent sale, $323. when you look at the 30-day average, he's down 16% in the last 30 days. So the card is still falling, trying to find its floor. 2 sales in the last 30 days in raw. PSA 9, 360. So a break even on a PSA 9. PSA 10 is $1,000. So a nice 2.5 times of your money, and it has a 55% gem rate. So if you can find a nice gemmable copy of this card, Jesus Made is printing money for you. His stuff is super hot, super liquid, and very, very easy to sell.
Coolest name ever.
Yeah, and that ain't that the truth. Jesus Made.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, Colt Emerson. Colt Emerson is, to me, he's the number 3 prospect in baseball. Some have Made at number 3. I think Made is a little bit further away. Colt Emerson has a real good shot of making the club out of spring training. Out of 2023 draft, when you look at his numbers, his last sale jumped way up. So his base auto, this one here is his refractor. Let's see here. I am going to go and get you the base, because when I looked at the 199, there were already 119 of them graded, so it doesn't leave very many. Doesn't leave very many to go for, so I want to make sure we have plays here that are achievable, doable. I apologize that I thought I had everything queued up and I forgot to change this one. You getting dizzy watching me scroll through here?
Nah.
All right, here we go. So when you look at his base stuff, $108 is the most recent sale. There've only been, again, the 2023 Bowman draft stuff, it's drying up. Only 14 sales in the last year. No sales in the last 60 days. PSA 9, most recent sale was back in September. That was $130. So it's about a break even, but you don't know what his card prices have done since then. PSA 10, there was a sale of his base on November 8th. So that's about 30 days ago. That was $330. So you do know you're about going to triple your money if you get a PSA 10. But I'm really happy that I have some sealed 2023 Bowman draft boxes, because that class is just loaded with prospects.
Seems like that'd be just the ultimate savings account, is just every year get the jumbo box of Bowman draft, put it away. Because like all of those are worth way more than what you paid for them, going back to.
Yeah, it's rare for them to not go up in value over time. So, all right. Next up, we have, I believe we're getting into the no-brainer stuff, the McGonagalls and the Connor Griffins. Yep. All right. So we're into Kevin McGonigal now. So he's 2025 Bowman. Here's his first auto. It's his refractor. As we were talking about before, $350 for a raw card. 8 sales in the last 30 days. The 30-day average is $403, so he's actually down 12% in the last 30 days. Again, the 2025 stuff is still trying to find its floor. So you might be able to get, if you wait, this is a card that might bottom out in early January. The problem with that is then you're going to have to pay the more expensive PSA fees to get it turned around and get it graded quicker in order to get it back for spring training. But it's a more expensive card, so that might be okay as well. PSA 9, $410. So you're actually breaking even, maybe a small profit on a PSA 9. PSA 10, $815. So you're doubling your money. But a PSA 10 only has a 20% gem rate. So not an easy card. It's an expensive card, and it's not an easy card to get it to gem. I think Mark was asking me about some of these plays prior to the show. And I said they're good investments, but with a 20% gem rate, it's just hard. It's hard to go out and find 5 of them. You know, when you got a 20% gem rate, go find 5 of them. You got to drop $2,000. Now you got another $300 because you got to pay the higher fees. So you got another $300 in grading. So you get $2,300 in grading fees to get 5 of them. And you get one of them gets a 10. So you end up with, a third of your money back on one, but then you end up with, $400 for each of the next 4. And you end up, after eBay fees, you break even getting a 10 out of 1 out of 5. It's just, I caution people, because that's where a lot of people get frustrated with this hobby. They're like, I bought the top prospect. How did I lose money? Gem rates are difficult. Prices are high. Go back and watch this video for plays that you can make money on that are a whole lot easier, higher gem rates, higher return on investment, higher, easier way of making money. Buying the top player is not always the way to make money in this hobby. So I hope that helps. But we're going to keep talking about McGonigal because he is fun to talk about. And he is the real deal. So we're going to talk about his next 2 cards. We're going to talk about our non-autos. We're going to talk about his refractor, and then we're going to talk about his base non-auto first. First, we're going to talk about the refractor to $4.99. This is a very viable play without breaking the bank on his autos. In the last 30 days, there have been 2 sales. They're about $50 a piece. If you want to go after one of these, a PSA 9 sold for $65. So you're going to be out about $5 to $10 if it gets a 9. And in a 10, there are 4 PSA 10s graded. Only none of them have sold. So we don't know what the PSA 10 rate of return will be, which is why I thought this was kind of a fun card again, because if you can get a 10 and be first to market, you can kind of set the market. Hard to believe that McGonigal doesn't have any base refractors, non-auto PSA 10s that have sold yet, but that is what the facts are. There just aren't any of them yet. And there's only been 9 graded. So only 9 have been sent in. 4 of them have gotten PSA 10, and none of those 4 have been sold. So it does have a 44% gem rate, but I got to think there's dozens of them sitting at PSA waiting to be graded, and they're just in the backlog, because 9 for one of the top players just something seems off there to me. All right, and now here's the base. The base is a very affordable card. This is a card you might want to buy 10 of or 15 of or 20 of. And do a mass play. So most recent sale, $4.09. The 30-day average is $4.16. So $4 to $5 is where you're going to buy this card at. 264 sales in the last 30 days. So this card is literally ending dang near one every other hour on eBay. for the last 30 days. So this card is super, super easy to find. However, believe it or not, the $4 is up 79% in the last 30 days. This was a $2 card 30 days ago. But at $4 or $5, I don't think it really matters. Still plenty of money to be made there. PSA 9 sells for $32. So you're about washing even on a PSA 9, which is why I like to bulk play on here. Very, very little risk. You can go buy 5, 10, 15, 20 of these. The 9s, you're essentially breaking even on the 9s. And a 10 is a $90 card. So you're going to triple your money, triple your investment on a PSA 10. You don't have to go buy the autos of the top players to make a bunch of money. You can do a play like this in bulk and probably make more money on 10 of these than somebody that goes out and buys one of the base autos for $350. Here, $5 a card, you buy 10 of them, you got $50 with shipping. Let's say you got 60, 65. Now you got grading fees of $22 a piece. So now you're talking another $220. So you got $280 invested in 10 of them. And you've got a 46% gem rate. So let's just say you get unlucky. You get 4 out of 10 PSA 10s, right? They're $190 a piece. The 4 10s cover your total investment. You actually make about $20 after you sell the 4 10s. You've got the 6 9s left at $32 to $35 a piece. You're making, worst case scenario, you're making $200 to $300 on a 10 card play of this on average. So the guy that goes and spends $350 on the base auto gets a 10 and sells it after eBay fees. He makes $250 and you made the same amount without the auto. So just alternative ways. There's lots of ways in this business to make money. Just don't get hung up and stuck on any one way. Don't let somebody that you saw on eBay or on YouTube or on Facebook or whatnot or whatever, just don't let anybody tell you you got to do it this way. These are the only plays that you can do. If you don't do these plays, you're not going to make any money. That's all hogwash. You could have 100 different people do 100 different things and they all could make money in this hobby. We're just trying to show you some ways that we make money and share them with you. So the last 3 plays we're going to talk about now are the number 1 overall prospect. It's Connor Griffin. The first play is going to be his refractor auto again, numbered to 499. You can see the difference. McGonigal's the number 2 overall prospect. Griffin's the number 1 overall prospect. McGonigal's refractor auto was $350. Griffin's is $615. $615 for a raw refractor first auto of Connor Griffin.
Reminds me of Jackson Holiday.
Yeah, only even more so because Holidays were about $5.25 for his raw refractors when we were buying into those. Griffin looks to be the real deal. He is clearly better than every other player in the minor leagues. He is almost for sure going to break camp with the big league club. I can't see spending $615 on one of his raw autos. I can't see it. But if it's your thing, I wanted to show you what the numbers look like. There's 3 sales in the last 30 days. The 30-day average is $610. A PSA 9 is $675. So you essentially break even on a PSA 9. So there's not a lot of risk there if you get a 9. If you get a PSA 10, it does sell for $1,500. So you can essentially double your money. But $600 is a lot of money to be forking out to double your money when there are so many other plays safer, easier, less expensive plays that can double your money. So this play is not for me, but maybe it's for you, which is why I am sharing it with you. For me, I'd much rather go with these $45 and $50 plays and double my money that way. I have less money tied up, and I can do 6 or 8 of those plays for the same amount of money that I could do for one Connor Griffin. Is it fun to say you got a PSA 10 of the top prospect in the world? It is, but I don't know if that's worth spending that kind of money. All right, the next 2 plays are going to be non-auto plays of Griffin. So again, we've got the refractor first, like we had for McGonigal. For Griffin, for McGonigal, the refractor was $45. For Griffin, it's $54. So the auto refractor is Griffin's is double that of McGonigal's, but for the non-autos, they're within $8 of each other. Does that make sense to you, Bo? That doesn't make any sense to me.
It makes sense. I ended up buying one of those the other night, and I looked at I won an auction on it. I paid $60 for mine because it looked like I just went through and picked the one that looked like it had the best shot of getting a 10. But I won the, I'm overpaid a little bit, but I just figured we'll see how it goes.
That's okay. I mean, sometimes you go over these targets by a few bucks to get one that you think is clean. I'd much rather go $5 or $10 over a target and get one that I think could gem than to pay the target cost and get one that's going to get a 9. So right. I don't blame you on that at all. 100 sales in the last 30 days, so 3 a day. Very easy card to come by. I would recommend doing the auctions like Bo did. PSA 9 is $50. So PSA 9s are selling for less than the raw is selling for. So you're going to lose. If you get a 9, you're going to be out $5 to $10 plus your shipping costs. You could be essentially, you could lose $30 on a $50 card. That's the risk involved in doing this play. The PSA 10, however, PSA 10 sells for $170. So you can triple your money if you do hit a 10. And it does have a 60% gem rate, which is great. But that is an awfully expensive risk to take when you're talking you're out $30 on a $50 card. If it gets a 9, that's a big ouch. So just wanted to make everybody aware of that. Mark is chiming in here. These Connor refractors seem to be very dirty cards. Even though the gem rate high, seems there is a lot of recirculation going on. Yeah, I've noticed that as well, Mark. I've bought in 3 of them and I've sold all 3 of them raw again. None of the 3 that I bought had a rat's chance. And you know what? Gemming. Fortunately, I essentially broken even after fees on all 3 of them. So it didn't cost me, I think I'm out about $8 on 3 cards. But I've had better luck buying the non-refractor than I've had buying the refractor. I don't know why that is, but it is what it is. All right, speaking of the non-refractor, here is the base. This is the one I'm having much better luck on. So McGonigals were $4. Griffins are $12. So his auto is twice as much as McGonigal. His refractor is almost the non-auto refractor is about the same, but his base is 3 times as much. So I don't understand that at all. Everything should be kind of in proportion, and it's not. But regardless, $12, 138 of them in the last 30 days. So there are plenty of them to be had. 30-day average is $11. So as you can see, you're going to spend anywhere from $8 to $15 to buy one of these or buy multiple. I just bought a lot. I haven't gotten them yet, but I bought a 10-card lot. of these cards on Facebook. I got 10 of them with shipping for $50. So I can only imagine there's probably some that are scratched up, and the thing said 10 super cheap, $50, not all going to gem. So I'm assuming there's going to be a couple in there that are trashed to pay $5 a piece for them when they're going for 10 or 12. But I thought it was worth the risk. If I get one or two of them out of there that are worth grading, I'll be happy. PSA 9, $27. So you are out about $10 on the PSA 9. But a PSA 10 is $122. So you are going to triple your money on a PSA 10. And it does have a 41% gem rate. So lots of plays to be had, lots of talking today. The show went an hour and a half. Hope I didn't bore anybody, but I hope that there are some plays in there that make sense that you guys can go and get. Some of them are harder to find than others. Some of them, in my opinion, don't really make sense. Some make more sense than others. I really like the plays where you can spend 40 or $50, and when you hit a 10, you can triple your money or more. Those are the plays that I try to focus on because I like return on investment to be as high as possible. But join our Discord. We have a section on there where you can talk about your wins that you made, your purchases that you made, share it with everybody. Follow me on Instagram and you can see my buys of the day. I don't post everything I buy. I just pick one card every day just so you guys get an idea, a little flavor of what Dr. Crack is buying for myself. And I figured that if you follow that might help you as well in between these shows with plays that you can try and make on your own if you follow the plays of the day. So what do you got for parting words here, Bo? You got anything?
Yeah,
long-winded there.
I've got one tip. There's last week I was watching the Barcelona Chelsea game, and about a couple months ago, this Estival became available on with Topps Now card, and it says Brazilian Wonder Kid makes debut. They signed him as an 18-year-old to play for Chelsea the day he turned 18. And one of your old partners for that old show used to work with said, don't buy it. But I didn't listen. I went ahead and bought a 20-pack. And I only graded 4 starting out. And I got 3 10s and a 9 out of those. And I did really well on the 10s. And this is before he scored a goal against Lamine Yamal. And the announcers are saying the wonder kid from Brazil and the wonder kid from Spain. And this guy's getting hyped up. They said he'll be starting for Brazil in the World Cup. And he has like a couple Topps Now cards. And I think has a few different select cards. And the select ones are already really expensive, like in the hundreds and hundreds of dollars. But I kind of have a feeling that it's going to be like Lamine Yamal, where there's a whole bunch of stuff. He's going to be the most hyped soccer player in South America this spring. I would bet money on it. I've watched him play. He scored a goal in every game that I've watched so far. He's 18 years old. And I just think that if you're looking for some prospect to get in on that's not named Lamine Yamal, because the Lamine Yamal is already through the roof, that this Estival guy, he might be worth putting some time and effort into. I don't think there's any autographs yet. But so I think that something big might happen with this guy.
Yeah, I think the only thing that I've seen of his so far is the Topps Now one select, and I thought I saw a mosaic.
Okay. I saw some silver selects that were like $500.
Yeah, the silver, the selects. The select stuff I've seen is really expensive already when you get a silver or you get a low numbered parallel. But yeah, he sure is getting hyped up. I've got as you guys know, if you follow me, I do okay with soccer cards. I have one friend of mine that used to own a card shop down in Illinois, and he is my soccer intel guy. He tells me, hey, go buy this guy. And I buy it. And then usually about 3 to 6 months later, people start talking about him. I'm like, hey, thanks, man. Got me in way early on that one. And he's been talking about this kid now for about 2 months. So I think that was a good play on the tops now. So you might want to get some more of those graded come before the World Cup.
Yeah, I gave 8 to GameStop last weekend, and then I found 2 more that I had sitting on my desk. So, but I have a 9 on eBay right now, and it's like at $25, and there's 19 watchers. So, I mean, I think I'm even going to make money on the 9. But they're loving this guy.
I'll bet the 9 sells for $55. That would be my guess.
Yeah.
I'll bet you it's $55 when it gets all said and done. So yeah, you'll make money on the 9s for sure.
Yeah. Right on.
All right. Well, that's good soccer tip at the end. Thanks everybody for watching. Sorry, Shane just got here and we're closing. Go back and watch it. Lots of good nuggets in there for you. Talked a lot of baseball today. Matter of fact, we talked almost all baseball today. Mark put in there right at the end of the show, now is the time to buy Caitlin Clark. The next episode will probably be very college basketball and WNBA basketball heavy because that is also the time to start looking at them as you've got the draft coming up in spring, and then you've got the WNBA starts up in spring. So thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for the feedback. Thanks, Bo. And we'll see you again in a couple of weeks. Feel free to shoot us any questions or comments. Don't forget to use the QR code if you want to learn. If you're watching Instagram and you want to know how to get over to the YouTube channel, just use that QR code. And we will see you on the next one.